Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop in here and visit and check out my video. And we're here at Spa, and I've been working on the setup for this Ferrari 488 EVO for a while. And one of the problems is I really don't know what just a good pace is. Since this update, I mean, I know what I ran before, and I'm definitely off from that. But again, the Ferrari is again one of these cars. It seems like it's changed a good amount. It seems like number one map is even angrier than it was before, and the back end of the car is almost kind of like what it was a long time ago. It's just kind of wants to slide around. So anyway, I've been trying to work on it to try to find a happy medium and try to find something drivable that's not on the ragged edge all the time, and trying to find pace. And we're going to go over, I tried lots of stuff. And then on top of that, I'm working on some setups for about 3 or 4 cars here. And I just wanted to do that to see if it was the car, but really the other cars are about the same pace. So if anything, the Ferrari might be a little bit faster right up to now. So that's not it. So it's just me. I guess I'm just slow. So, but I was just wanting something that wasn't so pushed to the ragged edge that you couldn't, might make a decent lap one lap, and then the next lap's total garbage. So I'm trying to get it to where it's a good drivable car. So we're just going to go over a lap here, and then we'll go over the setup. There's a few things I want to point out. Now, when you come up there to turn 1, which I don't remember before, but when the turbo hits, it wants to make the car jump a little bit to the side, so you gotta either with the throttle not be very aggressive or just be ready for it and keep it straight. Otherwise, if you get real aggressive with it, it'll want to, as soon as the turbos hit, it'll want to kind of start jumping sideways a little bit. And then on Perouge, it goes up fine. Just hug it to the inside as quick as you can and straighten it out. It goes up really nice if you do that. No problems at all. You didn't even see any sparks. And like I said, when I started, I had 80 liters. Just got like 70 now. Speed's good. Not great. It's okay. And watch these curbs on the insides. It's not worth upsetting the car. Here, basically I go down to first, and then I just wind second out for this next corner, because otherwise you're just going to third and right back to second again. And again, I don't try to stay off that curb on the inside. It just upsets the car. And then this next, the real difficult long left-hander here, you want to brake early. That same spot that I always have marker back here on the fence. But you want to just do it a little early. You don't want to drive it in, because otherwise you'll get the rear end wanting to come. You get a little bit of corner entry oversteer, and then it goes into a understeer. So you want to just come into the corner just a little bit earlier to let the car just naturally rotate and not trail brake going in. That's what it's doing. And of course, since I do have a high downforce package with a lot of brake in it, it'll really, that's what really is wanting to snap the rear end is the brake bias, which you can dial down some. So if you don't like that, you can dial it down, and I'll go over a lot of different options in there when we go over to setup. Another thing, I'm going to put it really slow here. Going through here, if it starts to understeer, just tap the brake. See, I just tapped it. I just tapped the brake a little bit, and that's all. Basically, it'll pull the car in, and you'll actually gain time, and it's better on the front tires because you're not just sitting there trying to crank more steering in it. You just tap the brake a little bit, it'll pull the car in, and it'll go right around if you get a little bit of mid-corner understeer. Because everywhere else, the car is balanced is pretty good. I mean, it's got good rotation to it without getting over rotation, but on that corner, you can get a little bit of mid-corner understeer. You can hit that curb, it doesn't hurt it. And I had another video that I was doing, but my recording messed up, so I had to redo it. So that's why I was doing a longer stint this last time, but this time and plus I wanted to try some other things. And we're going to go over that in the setup. Everywhere else is pretty good. You just got to turn in early on that fast left back there. Just turn in a little early. You don't want to late apex it, and there is, the same. You just want to not overcorrect on your steering. Just turn in and it'll go. That was a 220.07. A decent time, but way off from what it was before the update. And now I ran a 219 with like 20 liters, doing nothing at all. Just all I did is run 20 liters. I ran a 219.3, so it's there. You could probably run a low 219. It was all there. It's just a matter of really pushing it hard and getting it to do it. And then when I was doing my other video, I ran with the still race fuel load. I was running about a half a second slower. I had some 217s. Not 217s, 219.7s and 219.8s and things like that. So you can do that for a couple laps until the tires, start losing their grip. So again, it's a solid race fuel load. It's a solid high 219 to mid 220 car. That's basically right in that range of what seems like what it does. When the tires start wearing off and things like that. So again, let's go over to setup. Excuse me. We got 25.2 for the tires in the front pressure and 25.6 for the pressure in the rear. The toe on the front is a negative 0.05 with the camber at negative 3.5 in the front and caster at 13. Toe on the rear is 0.04 with the camber at negative 3.2. And I don't see anything with this at all. I really don't see any advantages to running any more negative camber. I did and didn't. I tried a little bit more. It really didn't help any. Tire wear is the same. So, and the issue is just keep in mind the front tires do wear a little faster than the rears. That's not what I want. I'd rather have it the other way, and I've been trying, and I've got it close, but I still rather have it flipped. I'd rather have the rear tires wearing a little faster than the fronts, because usually then what happens is once it starts getting worn, you get a little bit of understeer, and then the fronts will catch up, or if not surpass it. So that's something you want to keep in mind when you're doing this, and when you're having a race. Electronics, basically 3, 3, and 3. So the map is 1. And now this is the first real thing you can do to slow the car down if it's you don't like the way it rotates, or it's a little too much off the corners or things like that. You don't have to touch anything. All you got to do is go to map 3, and it's going to get better mileage. You're definitely going to get better mileage, so you don't have to run as much fuel, and it'll be easier to drive, especially coming off the corner. That's where the big difference is. Coming off the corner, it won't want to spin up, or it won't want to maybe, where you have to drive it, it'll be a lot better, but you are going to lose time. So I'm just, matter of fact, if you had a 45-minute race, no pit stop, or an hour race with no pit stop, I would probably do that just off the get-go to try to save tires. And if you're not going to run it, make a stop, I would probably just go ahead and go to 3, and that way it would slow it down, but you could keep a better pace, more consistent, instead of running a few fast laps and then just starting to fall off. So that's probably what I would do. Of course, fuel, I had 80 liters, and there was light graining on pretty much most of them. 28 was anti-roll bar. Brake bias, see, I have 54. So again, it's very aggressive. That's another place I would back off. Steering ratio is 11, but if you want, and the back end's a little bit too nervous in corner entry for you, like I said in that one double left, you can basically just back this off to 55, 56, and you might hurt your braking a little bit, but it might not make that big a difference. So, you can go ahead and do that. I just left it there to show you what I had, but you can back it up to 55 or so. Springs in the front are 138,600 with a bump stop rate of 700 and a bump stop range of 5. And on the rear, the springs are 127,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 26. Anti-roll bar is 4, and the preload on the diff is 160. And again, this is a lot different than what it was before. I tried to run a low diff preload, and it just didn't like it. Not with the number 1 set, not with the number 1 map. Coming off the turns, it would just constantly spin the tire, and you constantly having to, correct it. And every time you're doing that, you're losing time. Every time. So, I was trying to keep going until it wasn't doing that anymore. And pretty much I got settled for this. But as soon as you start dropping more, it'll start doing it again. So again, I really, and that's not really have an answer for that one. That's just the way the car likes it. And again, it's kind of reminds me of what it was a while ago, before a few updates ago. The shocks in the front are 5-2-3-2, and on the rear they're 3-2-5-2. And of course I dialed that in with Motec. I mean, they're close. I'm sure there could be some adjustments, but it's close. Aero, I have 58 in the front, 60 in the rear with a 12 rear wing and a 3 and a 3 in the brake ducts. And the reason I did this is I tried so many combinations with ride heights and wing settings. It's crazy. Of course, again, with this wing, it's not as big a deal as some of the other cars because there's a lot of adjustments. And really, a lot of the downforce you get from the Ferrari is the rear diffuser. So as far as drag, it does make a difference, but I went all the way to gain 1 mile an hour. You have to go all the way down to 8. So I mean, I got to go to that's 4 clicks down to gain 1 mile an hour down the straightaway. That's a lot. And I tried to even do that, and it makes this car such a handful. You can't. You're going to be a drift car. That's what it felt like. And I mean, I wouldn't even want to know what it would be if you could make it through the end of a race, and what the tires would be. But again, the same thing with this. If you look at the fuel load, see, this goes up 1 and this goes up 2. So that's not real bad. You see the front variation barely wants to change to negative 1.3. It looks like, so that's actually a little bit less. So that's why I was trying to really do this. So as this would come up, it would still be an even deal. It would not be something dramatic. So, and that's because we got 80 liters. So I mean, this is pretty dramatic, going from 80 down to 5 or 6. So, of course, when you raise the front, it's a lot more than when you go up in the one in the rear. So again, that's why it says 1.2. It's still staying there. So again, I think it's the best that I could do. And I mean, I really tried to get more speed down the straightaway, but you have to sacrifice so much to get 1 mile an hour. I don't see the advantage of doing that, especially over a race stint, to gain maybe a little bit, which I don't know how much you're really going to gain because you lose so much in the other corners being so loose. And I tried to run even more diff into than I had there with less wing. I tried running the number 3 map. So I tried to run the 3 map with less wing. You don't gain anything. So it's no more than you get with this, and time-wise, you lose. So I mean, everything I tried really didn't gain anything at all. And it felt the best to me as far as you can push it, you can brake hard, deep. You can, you can really drive the car and attack if you want to attack or not, or not. I mean, one thing that's nice about the Ferrari is if you just want to lay back, turn the map to map 3. And that's all you got to do, and you're going to get better mileage. The car is going to be easier to drive. You're going to sacrifice performance, but when the tires are worn, that's a really good option to go instead of, that's one of the first options I would do instead of upping the TC, which you can do that too, and that's another option. I tried that also. I tried going higher on the TC with less wing, with all that, higher TC, and it would help me get around the track some, but I didn't gain any performance. So because you're losing in so many little areas that it really didn't help. So again, this is the best combination I could find for a balanced setup that can have a decent stint, and of course you can still use it for qualifying. And don't be afraid if you want it to rotate a little more. I mean, take one out of the wing. I mean, just take one out of the wing, and it'll rotate just a little bit more if that's what you want. And mile an hour wise, it won't really make not not enough to see anything, because like I said, it took me a while to where I could see a mile an hour. I think I had to go all the way down to 8. So again, that's not gonna. If you go down to 11, it might help you rotate the car a little bit, but you're really not going to get any more speed down the straightaway. So again, I sure hope that it works for you. Any feedback or comments would be great, because I'm really not sure what the pace is, what y'all are running out here with cars. And again, the I've been driving a Ferrari a good amount, trying to get some drive time behind it, since it's just a little bit different to me. It feels a little bit different than it did before. And again, I'm also trying to do this because another thing I'm wanting to do after I do even more setups and more driving, and I kind of wanted to wait for this DLC coming out, and the update to come out here within this next month, because to be honest, I wouldn't doubt that they do some BOP adjustments and just do they do that all the time. They've done it in the past, so I would be surprised if they didn't do it this time. And of course, there's other cars coming out, and I want to do another pros and cons and do that all over again, because so many things have changed, but I really don't want to do it. And then they change some stuff on the BOP. So again, your comments and feedback would be great about that. And I mean, that's not going to happen right away, because I'm kind of waiting for Kunos to do what they're going to do. But I am doing a lot of driving, so I can kind of get a head start and get prepared to start doing that. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, because they're definitely a lot different than what they were. And I sure hope you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And of course, the link of this setup will be in the description. And I have a PayPal link that will be in the description too, if you want to help support the channel. And I really appreciate it. And I hope you had a great Christmas, since I'm doing this right around that time. And I hope you all have everybody out there has a great New Year. And we'll see you again the next time. See you.